Hi, I'm Shannon Ward.
And I'm Rebecca Bockerts.
And we are ColorWorks. Welcome to our second video on why parenting stuff happens and how you can fix it. In our first video, we covered a lot of information about parents, their personality types or colors, and stressors that they have in all different kind of parenting situations. Now you can find a link to this video if you missed it with this video and be able to go back and watch it.
Today in this video we're going to go ahead and focus on why the kids do what they do and how that's the second half of the parenting stuff happens equation. We're going to help you to understand where the kids are coming from and their perspective. In our last video, we looked at the first half of that equation, the stuff happens, and we talked about where the parent stress was coming from. But we hope that you gain in this video that your children are experiencing stress just like you are. So first we're going to dive into your child's color types or personality types and how their stress behaviors, which are actually their misbehaviors, how those can also be triggers to your own stress.
Next week on March 28th, join us for our Facebook Live where we connect all the dots and put those things together for you. So join us next week for our Facebook Live on March 28th where we're going to outline for you the success path through the ColorWorks Circle membership. So let's first talk about your kids' colors and why they're pushing your buttons.
So let's just think back briefly to the first video where we kind of just very quickly described the 4 different personality types or color types. We're going to kind of give it a kid spin this time. So we're going to look at our greens, our logical thinkers. In childhood, these are very experimental children and love to build and create. Our blues are sensitive feelers, just like the adults. They're all about peacemaking, protecting, friendships, family, and just feeling the warmth. Our gold children are large and in charge. These guys are running the room in general. They are all about having a plan. They're very focused and driven kiddos, and they like things to stay on task and be organized. Our orange children are our freedom fighters just like adults, but they are also all about taking freedom and taking risks and chances. They're movers, they're shakers, or they're slugs and procrastinators.
Exactly. So what we want to focus on in this video is we want to share with you some really concrete information about your kiddos' stressors by color. So we're going to start off with Rebecca telling you about the gold child. I'm going to share with you some information about the green child. Then Rebecca's going to go and talk about the orange child, and I'm going to finish up with the blue child.
So let's look at that gold child. It's going to sound a lot like, all 4 of these will sound a lot like the adult version of what we talked about, but we've really just taken it and made it less mature. So you're going to hear some reflection in like what we said in that last video. Our gold children, they don't like change. They don't like chaos that change brings. They don't like that internal feeling of change when they don't know what's going to happen. They especially don't like change if there's been no information given as to why change is happening. Think about during the school day when there's a fire drill or they go on a field trip or something like that, and the kids really aren't given a lot of information except, hey, here, this is about to happen. That's very stressful to a gold child. They don't like anything that involves disorder and chaos and confusion, loud, rowdy noises that seem very uncontrolled. All of that can be really stressful for our gold children. Not being able to take charge and take control in a situation like that is very frustrating and stressful for a gold child. Their natural instinct is to have things under control, and so our gold children will be under stress when they can't just step in and take charge. And we know as parents, it's not their job to be in charge and have that kind of control. And so for them, that's very stressful. Rule breaking can also be something else that is extremely stressful for our gold children, especially as they watch siblings, friends, parents even bend or break rules. That can be highly stressful for a gold child because they're so black and white about the rules. People who run late, who are liars, who betray them, things like that, very stressful for our gold children. So that gives you just a little glimpse of a gold child throughout all those ages, the things that are going to stress them out.
Now let's go on to the green child. The green child's really interesting, and we get a lot of our phone calls, and a lot of parents seek us out because of green children, especially 3-year-old green little boys. I don't know what it is, but 3-year-old green little boys. One of the biggest things to understand is for a green child, they're going to be super stressed out with anything that seems like a stupid rule to them. Any kind of limitation that makes no sense. That's going to be really hard for them. It's also going to come in the form of assignments from school that don't make any sense, or that are really artsy and kind of free-flowing without any logic to it, or anything that's going to not be tied to a reason why they're doing it. That's really hard. You know, because I said so really doesn't work with a green child at all. They want to know why. Overwhelming emotions is going to be very stressful for a green child too. When they have a flood or a whoosh of emotions that come over them and they can't have time to sort it all out, that's going to be extremely hard for them. And they are going to sometimes even be very physical in that moment when they're overwhelmed with their emotions. And they are the poster child for unreasonable. No matter how old they are.
And we're laughing because we've both raised green children.
Yes.
So to us it's comical.
Yes.
We've been there, we've done that.
And helped thousands of other families through their green children Wookiee rages. So another thing that's really hard for a green child, especially a preteen or a teen, is when they recognize that they have done something really dumb themselves. It's really hard for them. They really turn it in introspectively, and they really give themselves a bad time for doing something dumb. So imagine a green child or preteen or teen who's already recognized that they've done something that was not very logical, not very smart, and then they have a parent who lectures them about it on top. High stress. So that can be really, really difficult. Another thing to understand about a green child is that they need time to think. When they're forced into a quick decision, that is really stressful for them. I remember with my green son one time we were in Walmart. He was forced to pick a toy. I forced him into trying to pick a toy really quick. High stress, really upset, meltdown in the Walmart aisle. So this can be really, really difficult for them. Another thing for them that can be very difficult is any kind of parent who acts illogically or over emotionally, which can be a blue parent. That can be very stressful for a green child, preteen, or teen to have to deal with the emotions and the non-logical responses that might come from a parent who's being over-emotional and not really making sense themselves. So you might have a green in your home, and when we tell you even more about greens in our course, you're going to go, oh my goodness.
I get it now.
Yes. I mean, how many times do we have someone say, do you have a nanny cam in our house? Because we understand what's going on with your kids. Okay?
Let's look at that orange child. This is the child we get number one, hands down, the most phone calls about, is an extroverted orange child. Because like I said earlier, they are risk takers. When they're introverts, they might be a quiet risk taker. As an extrovert, they're doing it out loud right in front of you, no holds barred.
And we'll tell you.
And it is difficult. We understand where you are if you are raising an orange child. Let me describe it a little. Freedom. One word. Anything that threatens their freedom. So that can look like rules, tight boundaries, restrictions, assignments that don't give any choices, requests that don't give any choices or options, chores that don't give any choices, options, or flexibility, bedtimes, routines. I could just keep listing anything that sounds like a boundary, and that actually causes your orange child to experience some level of stress. It might be a small level of stress, it might be huge, but understanding that about an orange child is so huge. Because once you understand where they're coming from, it's so much easier to parent them.
Absolutely.
Being told too many strict how-tos, being lectured all day by teachers, siblings, parents, very stressful. Lectures in general are hard for oranges because they're so in the moment, they're so action-oriented that they tune things out very quickly. So they become stressed when people lecture, and then they just glass over and don't hear anything you're saying because of the stress of having to listen to that. When they're little, long timeouts are very stressful to an orange because they want to just learn the lesson quickly and bounce back and move on. When they become teenagers, the same thing happens. Long disciplines are very stressful, and in fact, I always tell the parents I coach with, they're just plotting their revenge if you make it too long, because it's stressful for them to have to suffer very long consequences. They learn in quick little dollops.
Absolutely. And now that we've talked a little bit about the orange child, let me share with you about our final color, the blue child. Now the biggest thing for a blue child is any kind of conflict or stress that involves people fighting and all the overabundance of emotions that they experience and soak up from classrooms, from team efforts, from any time that they're with other people. When there's an emotional response going on in someone else, they are soaking it up like a sponge. And that can be very, very difficult for our little blues, our preteen blues, or our teen blues when they don't know what to do with all of that emotion that they've collected from other people. They also have a really hard time when they feel like they've gotten in trouble, and they always feel like they're in trouble when any other color parent but another blue parent is trying to parent them. So anytime that a parent raises their voice or just even gets a little firm, you don't even have to be yelling for a blue child to say, "Why are you yelling at me?" They also feel and say things like, "I can't ever do anything right," when they're a little bit older, when they're a preteen or a teen. They'll say, "I can't do anything right. I can't do anything to please you." It's because they always feel like they've done something wrong. And they also feel a lot of stress when they perceive that they've been rejected, when they perceive that they are left alone or on their own to solve a problem. Those are also times when emotions run high and they can get very overwhelmed and get very stressed out in the moment. Another thing that can be hard, especially for introverted blues, is loud noises. Loud noises can be very difficult because it seems almost like some sort of a conflict. It seems like some sort of a fight, and it really is stressful for them. These are they want to just be peaceful beings, and anything that seems not peaceful is going to be stressful for them. Also, they are going to feel extremely stressed, judged, and misunderstood when they're not listened to. They really want to share with you their feelings and their thoughts and the things that are on their mind and their concerns. Even an introverted blue is going to want to extrovert a lot of those feelings, talk to you about a lot of those feelings. And so when a blue child is either a boy or a girl is not feeling listened to, they feel misunderstood, and that's another form of rejection. And again, kind of like I mentioned at the beginning of talking about the blue child, fighting among friends and family, whether they're in it or they're just watching it and feeling it, can be extremely stressful for a blue child. Any kind of emotion or conflict can be really difficult for them. So now that we've kind of gone over the stressors for these 4 different color children, it'd be interesting, I bet you're seeing your children in those descriptions. And it really does help to understand that when these children are experiencing these things, they're under just as much stress as you are.
What we'd really like for you to see and discover through this video is that your child of any age and of any personality or color type is experiencing stress too. Now, some of it's perceived stress, it's not real, but it is still stressful to them, and that's why they are kicking out their misbehaviors, which are actually their stress behaviors. In our ColorWorks basic course, which is part of the ColorWorks Circle, the membership site, we go into detail about this. One of the things we teach is kind of a cornerstone phrase we use all the time, is that all behavior is purposeful and it's designed to meet a need.
At this stage in your understanding, with just these introductory videos, what we'd like you to understand really is that your child or teenager's misbehavior is actually their stress behavior. And this can go a long way in helping you feel calmer longer, because they're just under stress the way that you are under stress, like we explained in the first video. And this is huge to understand that. It's also the biggest missing piece of the equation, of the parenting stuff happens equation, that other parenting programs and books and blogs and things like that they leave out. And our program has this information in it. And so we wanted you to have the information from the last video about your stress behaviors. Now you're getting really concrete information about your child's stress behaviors. And then in our in our Facebook Live, we're going to put all the pieces together for you.
One of the things we'd like for you to understand through talking about your stressors and their stressors is that everyone is experiencing this stress. And when you understand that, like we said, it's not often found in other parenting videos and blogs, you can start to see things from their point of view, and that is where trust is built. If you start seeing things from your child's point of view, not agreeing with their bad behavior,
No.
not excusing their bad behaviors, but instead saying, I totally see where you're coming from. If you start that at the age of 4, you've got a 14-year-old who knows you've got their back.
That's right. And this is huge when it leads into your parenting efforts, because having this kind of new awakening, understanding information of being able to see their point of view, that helps you in your parenting efforts when you have to help them change their behavior, when you have to teach them different principles, when you have to give them expectations that they're not going to like. Again, none of this is excusing bad behavior. In fact, what we're going to do next is we're going to show you in our course how to deal with these negative behaviors. But the beginning starts with understanding. Okay, so what we suggest at this point is that you let this new information sink in, download our freebies that have been associated with our first video and with this video, and between now and our Facebook Live on March 28th, just take a look at your stressors and your stress behaviors. Really observe your kids under stress and what their stress behaviors are that they're kicking out. Just take that time to let all this marinate.
Then next week, we're going to connect all the dots between everybody, parent and child, siblings, you and your spouse or partner, your stressors, what stress behaviors you kick out because of your stressors, and how those stress behaviors can actually trigger somebody else's stress, and how it turns into this vicious cycle that goes over and over and over. And we're going to show you and empower you how to end that cycle. We're going to give you this simple, beautiful, clean blueprint that's going to be 4 parenting skill talks that you can use that are efficient, fast, and just like we said in the first video, in 30 seconds, you can have behaviors turning around.
Absolutely. So join us in a week. Can't wait to see you there. Think on all the things that we've shared. Of course, send us questions if you have them. We'd love to hear from you. And we will see you at our Facebook Live in just a few days.
Remember, if you're all in right now, you can always link straight from here onto our website, go straight in and join that circle membership and get started on those videos immediately.
That's right. You don't even have to wait to hear more information. If you want to do that, just go to www.colorworksgroup.com, go to our membership page, and it will tell you all about what to do next.
Can't wait to see you during our Facebook Live next week.
Thanks.